Hi, everybody. Welcome to the MenoLounge. I'm Julie Corden-White, CEO of MenoWell, high fiber and protein bars. Loving blueberry right now, I have to say. Usually I'm a peanut butter girl, but right now, something about the blueberry, it's hitting different. So anyway, I'm so glad to be here with you on Tuesday, as always. Today, we have a really special topic, navigating menopause when you're single. It's different, and there's some nuances I know we want to share. Hi, Amy. Hi, Natasha. I see you guys. Let me grab you here, Amy. I'm going to pull you up. I'm excited for this topic. Because Natasha knows why. Difficult hair day. No. Hi, Amy.
Hi.
So
Hi,
good
Julie.
to see you.
Good to see you.
I'm super excited about our topic. It's something we don't talk about that often. But before we jump into navigating the pause as a single person, Blueprint Breakers, that is all you, and you have a great podcast. Love it. Tell us about it, because it really describes who you are, your whole ethos as a human. Go ahead.
Absolutely. So about 3.5 years ago, I left my corporate executive career and packed up all my stuff in California and went fully nomadic and went on a sabbatical.
Hit the road, yes.
And I took a few months off, and at the end of those 3 months, one of the things that I was clear about is that I wanted to serve other women like myself, meaning that navigating midlife and figuring out what this this next era is going to look like when we didn't necessarily follow the traditional path. So either we don't have a partner, or we don't have kids, or there's lots of different ways to not be following the traditional path. But what I found was that there wasn't a lot addressing our specific challenges. As I was looking at different midlife topics, including menopause, nobody was really addressing the nuances of how these topics play out for women who are single or don't have a family. So I launched the podcast Blueprint Breakers, and I highlight and showcase women who are, living outside the traditional norm, and it's been amazing. And you were one of the wonderful blueprint breakers that we had on.
I know. I was outside the norm because I have a partner and kids, but I think any of us talking about perimenopause, menopause, we are outside the norm, although we are normalizing it. So we might not be that unique anymore, Amy. I don't know. I think we have work to do. So I'm going to say we're still outside the lines, which is where I prefer to be anyway, like you.
It can be fun out here.
I think so. If you've got thick skin and you're willing to just do the thing, I think so. Hey, Carlika, so nice to see you. So let's jump in. As a single woman going through perimenopause, what did you discover maybe about your body, about yourself, that you had to figure out without having another person in your life to manage through? I mean, you didn't have to deal with fighting for covers at night, so I think it's kind of a strategic advantage there. But what was your experience, and how was it different?
So when I was going through perimenopause, which was I think I started about 15 years ago, maybe. So I didn't know that I was going through perimenopause, right?
Right. No one does.
We weren't talking about it. The initial issue that I was having was night sweats. So, and I would, have hot flashes during the night, and it would wake me up out of a sound sleep. And worse than that, I would wake up just completely clammy, like my nightgown would be like stuck to me. It was an awful.
Not good. Yeah. Bad feeling. Yes.
Right. Not to mention, interrupting my sleep patterns and everything. But what I remember at that time was I was single and dating and in, a new relationship, or, navigating new relationships. And it made me like very self-conscious. Like I certainly, I never knew how my body was going to respond. I didn't know what was going to happen. I certainly didn't feel comfortable, cuddling somebody and hugging when I'm all like clammy and feeling gross.
Right. Right.
And it was very discouraging. And it never occurred to me at that time, hindsight's 2020, never occurred to me to talk to my doctor about it. So
what were you thinking was happening in your life?
I knew that I was heading towards menopause. I knew it was, because the one thing people have always talked about is the whole hot flash thing. So that's like one of the main symptoms. So I figured, okay, I must be heading in that direction. And I assumed that's just how it is. I'm just going to have to figure out how to push through this, which, it definitely affected relationships, affected romantic relationships,
right.
In terms of, spending time with them and everything. And I just wish that I had gone on hormones at that time.
Yeah, I know. I was late to the party also for different reasons. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it was really tricky. And so that impacted your confidence then about
Yes.
dating? Did you retreat, or did you just say, okay, this is not great? Kind of like Naomi Watts' story. She was dating and, they were being intimate and she was embarrassed to let him know that she had a patch or something, and he said, no, I'm old too. It's okay. So Billy. And so that kind of was glue for them. But did you feel that way, like just going forward and being transparent? Or did you say, I'm going to take a step back and I'm going to move away from the dating scene for a minute?
Well, I tried pushing through, not being transparent about it, because I didn't feel like I was old yet. And I didn't feel like my partner or potential partner would be older, like understanding of it. So I just tried to push through and work around it as best I could, which meant I did keep my distance sometimes, and I'm sure that was confusing. So, it definitely caused issues. And then I ultimately ended up retreating and taking a break from it, and that felt easier than trying to figure it all out. Which is unfortunate at a particular time in your life.
Right. And did that support you? Did you feel more empowered by taking a break, or were you sad because you were taking a break? How did that, we have different ways of interpreting the same experience, same emotion.
That's right.
So how did that impact you?
That's a great point. In the short term, it was scary to me to take a break.
Interesting.
So, because, I was in my early 40s, and so taking a break meant I was postponing the possibility of finding a partner, right? And so for a while, it was very scary. And so you kind of had to deal with that conflict. It took a long time. It took years for me to sort of feel better about it and feel good about it. And I dated on and off over the years. And in recent years, I've stopped dating, and I haven't really had the desire to. But when I hear my younger friends and sisters navigating similar stuff to what I remember, it makes me want to tell them, okay, well, if this is hindering you, let's talk about it. Let's do something about it. You don't have to just suffer and push through it.
No, we have choices. We have choices that we didn't know we had before because they weren't really there, but they're there now. So different options. Okay. So you've landed in, okay, I'm just going about this myself. I've got this. And so after you had your 1 day of menopause, congratulations, Amy, you win the prize. You are now postmenopausal. How did it change? Did you start to feel like yourself again? Did you start, not having night sweats, fewer hot flashes, maybe? You're like, did you say, okay, well, you just said, I'm not really dating right now, but you put yourself out there for a minute. Was that a choice, or did you say, okay, I'm just done with this altogether?
It wasn't, it was a choice. It's never been a conscious, permanent choice of where I'm like, okay, I'm just never going to do this again. It's just, I don't really need it right now. I have other things that I'm looking at. Now, when I first hit menopause, I had my 1 day of menopause when I was 50.
Yeah. Right
So
on time. Yeah.
so I've been postmenopausal for like 8 years now.
Mm-hmm.
And it, it at the, at first it got worse before it got better.
Mm.
Because I've only been on hormone treatment for the last maybe year and a half, two
Mm-hmm.
years.
Mm-hmm.
So it got worse before it got better, and it manifested itself. I put the dating thing aside because that was a lot to handle, and it manifested itself with anxiety and emotional roller coasters and
Yeah.
depression and
Yeah.
having to deal with a lot of topics, which was the other piece that when I was trying to look for menopause support, I didn't hear a lot of women talking about what that does for those of us who had wanted to have children and didn't.
Right.
Uh,
Right.
well,
And thanks for bringing that up because I know some of my friends who are childless by choice, right? So
uh-huh.
there's different categories. One that
Yep.
women who wanted children, it didn't work out for them for whatever reason, or childless by choice. And then here, this biological shift is happening. We call it, based on the reproductive hormones, but we're not really talking about reproduction, but there is kind of a shift, I think, that some women go through at this point,
Yes,
um, about the decisions that they've made in their
that's
lives,
right.
right?
That's
Those
right.
of us with kids, we're like, oh, thank God they're out of the house, love you over there, that kind of
Right.
thing. But then you are experiencing something different. So do you mind sharing what that was like for you and based on
Yeah.
the choices you made?
Right. Because so when I was in my 30s, I really intentionally made the choice. Since I didn't have a partner that I wanted to have a family with, I made the choice that I don't want to have a child without a partner. That was my intentional choice in my 30s. And I was totally secure in that decision. And then fast forward to my mid 40s, and it's interesting because I had an older woman mentor when I was in my 30s. She had sort of told me, and I can't remember if she was telling me as advice or just sharing her experience, but she was talking about the fact that, oh, I just got to let you know that the last few years just before menopause, all of a sudden out of nowhere, like I got baby crazy, and like the hormones start to like go crazy. And even though like her kids were fully grown,
Mm-hmm.
she in her head she did not want to have any more kids, but she felt that biological like pull again.
Yeah, yeah, interesting.
And I remember, at that time in my 30s, I was like, okay, that's great, ride it out, don't think about it.
Did you have that experience?
I had that exact experience.
Mm.
Yeah. I mean, when I was in my late 30s, all the way through to um, my late 40s, the drive to want to have a child became very, very strong and very,
Mm.
very compelling. And then when I approached menopause, what I wasn't prepared for, because I thought I had dealt with this issue, I wasn't prepared for being like I was just hit with grief, like that felt like it was out of nowhere.
Because the option was now going to be over. Is that
Right,
where the grief
right.
came from?
Yeah, because
Interesting.
the door was closed,
Spinal,
and
yeah.
I was like, I can't I'm not even sure I can really articulate the depths of the grief that I felt over that.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and it had never occurred to me that that was going to happen because I had addressed it, I had healed from it. Um,
And you made
and
an intentional choice that you were happy with. Isn't
right,
it interesting? The body is a funny thing. The body has a mind of its own in many ways, and that whole survival, keep the species going thing,
yes,
it probably just kicks in, whether you
yes,
want it or not, whether you
yeah,
choose it. Very
yeah.
interesting.
It's very, very, it's very powerful.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and not a lot of us were talking about it. Uh, I mean,
Yeah.
there's a much more growing community, the CNBC, childless not by choice community
Hmm.
is pretty large online, although I
Did you
had to search.
say CNBC childless
Childless
not
not
by
by
choice?
choice.
Interesting.
Yes.
Like Christine just said here, childless by circumstance. So I guess
Yes.
that would be that category. Interesting. Okay.
Or it could be by choice or by circumstance, either one. But
Okay.
there's huge organization, like the one that comes to mind is called Gateway Women, that support women who wanted to have children and couldn't for some reason.
Mm.
And but I had to search for them. I didn't know, because as I was searching for menopause answers, that wasn't the conversation that people were having, and which was surprising to me, because it seemed like, well, it's because I even know some of my friends who have had children who still experienced grief over the fact that they would not have another child, like
Right.
that would happen. So it it's been finding the community and to being able to talk about it.
That's beautiful. And Christine said Gateway is awesome. So she knows about it as well. Yeah, we don't think about these things, and we can't anticipate what's going to happen in every stage of our lives. Even if we had a mother or an older sister or a mentor, another woman in our lives explaining maybe how she navigated through this, or menopause, perimenopause, we're still going to have our own experience. So that's why community is always so important. And with you building the blue, I'm just
Blueprint breakers.
blueprint, the
It can be
blueprint
a tongue
breakers
twister.
podcast really helps meet women where they are and feel supported and doing interesting things. Let's see, Christine said there's a book called Life Unexpectedly by Jody Day.
Jody Day, yes.
You know
Yeah.
that book. Okay. You two should meet.
Yes.
Her handle is Ollie Cassie, but her real name is Christine. It took me a while to figure that out. Just I can connect you two. So tell us a little bit about, in the podcast, you've interviewed so many people. What are some of the interesting blueprint breaker things that have come up that you think are really neat about midlife women?
Well, there's so many of us that are making major pivots in our lives. And I don't want to say starting over, because starting over is not an accurate description, but like refreshing and resetting. And I've been able to talk with so many different women that have shared different circumstances of how they've done that, whether that meant becoming like internationally nomadic. I've talked to a woman that's been nomadic for the last 15 years and travels all over the world and volunteers in different communities. I've been teaching, I've been talking with women who finally authored that book that they always wanted to write. So that's been exciting. I got when I spoke with you and you launched a whole new company.
A different kind of crazy, yeah. Uh-huh.
Yes. So, I think the common thread that I'm finding is this new community of women that are committed to it's not too late, and you can design your own life, and you can design your own lifestyle blueprint. You don't have to accept the one that was handed to you when you were a little girl. You can rewrite it and redesign it however you want, and there's no timeline to it. And like I knew that kind of sort of intellectually, but now I feel it in my heart. And the fact that I've been able to speak with dozens and dozens of women over the last couple of years, just hearing different inspiring stories has just validated that as well.
Wow. And what is the most unexpected thing that you learned through talking to so many women?
I think I think it's our craving for what friendship now means in this stage of our lives.
Mm.
And that it's taken on sort of like a new meaning. And it's something that a lot of us have in common now, even though, okay, so like your life path, my life path has been very different, but now you've got grown kids, you're at that stage where they're getting ready to go. And I'm looking at what I'm going to do for this next season of life. So all of a sudden, even though we've had different life paths, we're now all at a similar place where we have a little more bandwidth for friendship and those female relationships.
Yes,
You
yes.
know, and how everybody's looking for that and what they're doing with that was very pleasantly surprising to me, and has been very inspiring and motivating to me in terms of, you know, making new friends and nurturing the ones that I have.
Yes, I love that. And I agree 1,000%. Carlika says so true. I met one of my best friends at 50, and we laughed because while I was raising three children, my husband and I were raising three children, she was climbing mountains. She was traveling the world. She would get a job and then she would quit to go on an adventure. You know?
Right.
Just doing a completely different life. And I'm like, oh, really? That's so amazing. And she's like, yeah, and you've got these three humans, you know, too, and all of these things. And so, but we laugh because we wouldn't have been friends during those parallel paths because there
That's
wasn't
right.
room for it, right? She was
Right.
off on climbing Mount Kilimanjaro or something, you know, and I was on the soccer field and the baseball field and the volleyball court. And so, but in our 50s, we had that space to be together and lean in and
Yes.
bring all of those experiences to a new conversation and friendship. It's been
Yes.
incredible, but exactly what you said, that you can have women who would not have been connected in the earlier years just be
That's
like
right.
glue, like sisters once we
Right.
get to midlife.
Yes.
That's
Yes.
amazing.
And even like we I think we bring different layers to, like, when we have conversations, it's just, there's so the depth and the beauty of them because we're all coming at it from completely different perspectives. We're not in our little silos anymore.
Right.
And so when we look at something, we're looking at it from like all different angles, which I just find completely like fascinating and inspiring.
So rich and textured, right?
Yes.
And I think we have a craving almost to be together because we need
Yes.
to talk. We need to talk about what the heck is going on with our bodies, you know?
Yes.
And
Yes.
you can't just talk to your doctor all the time. You don't really want to talk to your doctor all the time. You don't really want to talk to your kids, or, you know, we need each other. We crave that connection. So
Yes.
it's a beautiful thing,
Yeah.
perimenopause and menopause.
It can be. It can be.
What is it? If it doesn't kill you, it'll make you stronger. So
That's true. That's true.
it's
And
amazing.
I do want to say something about that, because the wonderful part is that we're absolutely having more conversations about it amongst ourselves, and, you know, in our friend groups and everything. I also feel like we have some opportunity with how we receive each other's experiences.
Mm.
Uh, so, for example, when I was going through the throes of, you know, giving up on dating, you know, and I had physical symptoms that were getting in my way, whether it was the you know, the sweats, or the vaginal dryness, or the drop in the libido, like all of that, not fun. Sex drive, like, where is it?
Doesn't set you up for a great dating life. Put
It
it that
doesn't
way.
set you up for a great date. No, no. And chatting with girlfriends, um, sometimes there's the tendency of the other people who aren't experiencing that are like, oh, well, I'm glad that that's not, I have the opposite problem, or, oh, but mine's off the charts and mine's going to be.
Oh, yeah, well, good for you. Lucky you, sister.
Exactly.
You're like, just wait a couple of years. You're going to be crying to me too. But in the meantime, keep going.
Enjoy it. I was
Enjoy
there too.
it.
Yeah.
Don't complain. Just stay with
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
I
yeah.
see us like working to get better at that, to understand that we all have different experiences with this, and being understanding and compassionate and listening to each other as we go through it.
For sure. So in terms of navigating menopause, perimenopause, and you're single and you are childless by choice, you're partnerless by choice, how and what do you recommend women do to have a more positive experience?
Uh-huh. Yes. Well, if they're on the same path as I am, meaning that they're partnerless by choice and that's not a high priority for them, my thoughts are a little different. So if they're good with their current reality, then I think it's just important to understand that your body is, it's like a changing system. It's just an ever evolving system. It's not a problem or issue that needs to be solved. It's just something that's ebbing and flowing and going in new directions, and just being open to that and giving yourself some grace as you figure that piece out.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's very important.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's very important to have your healthy anchors in place, since you can't rely on people who are immediately around you necessarily, like in your own home. You having things in place to make sure that you are getting the right sleep, you are eating well, you are getting movement every day, that you're doing the basics of, being healthy and taking care of your body.
Thriving. Yeah.
Thriving. Yes. Yes.
Yeah, I can see that, because if you're solo and you, let's say, get into a little bit of a rut, if you have a partner looking at you, they might be poking like you really don't need to eat those that pint of ice cream every night for dinner, or should we go on a walk or something like that. But if you're solo, you have to really dig deep inside to make sure that you're self-monitoring.
Right. Have your own anchors in place and have your support system. Your girlfriends and your family in other ways become very critical, and not being afraid to lean on them. The other thing, as solo women my age, we've been very independent and self-sufficient for a really long time. And I think that perimenopause and menopause is a little bit of preparation for us for our later years, in terms of we have to start practicing leaning on other people sometimes, and asking for that help and being okay with it, and letting other people receiving it, letting them step up and receiving it. And I think it's good preparation for later in life as well.
That's a very interesting nuance. I mean, if you think about it, like when someone offers to lift your overhead bag, when you're flying somewhere, and of course I'm like, no, I can lift 2 of these, like, no. But now I'm sort of like, okay, you want to do it, knock yourself out. Like, trying to receive that instead of just being the badass all the time. But knowing you can, because if you can, make sure we can be strong, literally. But be strong enough to receive, to be vulnerable. It's okay, because you're right. We might need to practice that a little bit for the future.
Yes.
Interesting. Wow, really good stuff. Okay, how about let's close maybe with a couple of tips that you want to share. If anyone wants to be, whether you're single or childless or with kids or whatever, and you want to be a blueprint breaker. You're like on the fence, like, I have something, but I'm scared to break the blue. I can't say that all today. To break the, could you change the name of your pocket? No, it's a great name. It's good for our brain anyway. Blueprint breaker, blueprint break.
Yeah.
What
it's good practice.
Practice. Excellent. What should she do if she's sitting on the fence and maybe she's watching this, or she's heard of your podcast and she's listened and she wants to just break through? She does not want to keep running the same blueprint, the same plays that she's been running, but she's scared. She wants to break the blueprint. What tips might you have for her to just jump in and say yes?
Well, I think it all starts with creating your vision first, and really giving yourself permission to dream and imagine and feel it. I just hosted a vision board celebration last weekend with some midlife women where we did this. Like we created what we wanted our lives to look like right now. And we also learned how to transfer that into current reality, like to speak about it. We shared it with each other and we talked about it in the present tense. This is my life. This is what I have. Right. This is what I'm doing. This
Not
is
something that's in the future that may happen, like right here, that grounded in reality and here and now.
That's right. That it's now, and talking in the present tense. So having community that you can share it with and talk about this vision and making it present in front of you on a daily basis in any way, journaling about it, meditating. You need to get it out of here and like out of your head into your heart. And so like you got to feel it in your bones that this is a life that I want to create. Yes, and the people around you that truly care about you will support you. Mm-hmm. And sometimes when they don't, it's just because they're afraid for you. Mm-hmm. And which is okay. It's part of the love, but it's having that community that's supportive of reaching for those dreams and making it happen.
So, I love that. Christine said she loves it. Did you do it in person, retreat, or online?
This one I did online. I've done it in a variety of different ways, but I did that online. And I've also been hosting these monthly virtual coffee chats that started on Threads because women wanted to meet. It was for Gen X women especially. We wanted to meet each other and connect and have some real conversations. So that's been going well as well to make some new connections.
Well, if you decide to do like a mid-year vision reconnect or something, let us know. We can share it in our community. And I think that'd be fun. I've always been a vision boarder. I've had Oprah on my vision board for like 30 years. And I met her last year in person. And I was on my way there. And my son, I was talking to my oldest son. And he said, Mom, this is like what's been on your vision board coming true. And I just like, he was like in tears. I was in tears. I hadn't thought about it, but you never know when what you put on your vision board is going to happen. But if you just stay the course.
Yes.
You never know.
Very smart, Julie. You're right.
You never know.
I know.
I love it. Well, I think you are so amazing. Just any woman who carves out her own path, and path doesn't have to be like a huge thing. It can be a small thing or something that's big to you. It's just meet yourself where you are. Don't compare. It wrecks us. Don't compare.
Yes.
But so where can women get more of you and more of the podcast and feel inspired to live their next best chapter, which I love?
Yes. Well, a great place to start is here on Instagram. I'm amypalmer.today. And my link in my profile will take you to my podcast. It's on all the platforms and see what events that we're doing.
And that .today is really important, right?
Yeah.
Today.
It really is. amypalmer.today, because I don't know what tomorrow Amy Palmer's.
Nobody knows who their tomorrow is. So we better be in the today. Live fully in the today.
Yes, exactly.
Super good. Amy Palmer, thank you so much. Thank you for leading the way and shining the spotlight on other women so other women can feel inspired and courageous to break their own blueprints.
Thank you, Julie. So great to see you.
Thanks for being here. Absolutely. To be continued. All right, everybody. Thank you for being here. I hope you were inspired. Make sure you follow Amy because there's so much more goodness to have. Be well, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.